When it comes to the healing, Dr. Manning, it can be a long road, right? I mean, this isn't something overnight. You watch a few videos, you read a book, and you snap your fingers. And where you might have family and friends who haven't experienced this say, "Oh, he cheated or she cheated. It's done. Get over it. Move on."
Exactly. Boy, there's so much I have to say on this topic, so I'll try to be succinct here. Getting specialized help is really key. If we have a heart condition, we want to see a cardiologist.
Mhm.
We want someone that has had that nuanced, credible, rigorous training to help us in the most nuanced, specific way possible. So I'm a really big advocate in specialized help. And if people are not aware, appsats.org is a website that contains a directory for international directory for betrayal trauma specialists. That's
Great.
appsats.org. Um,
I'll put that
and
in the
there's not
show
enough
notes
of us. So
also.
I try to shout that out so people, where whatever state or area they're living in, can have a way to access that directory for specialized care. Um, but the healing process, the three phases: safety and stabilization. The second is processing. The third is reconnection and moving forward. What I find often is people come in eager and wanting to get into processing right away. And processing involves, why did this happen? How could he do this? Am I staying or am I leaving? Just like we just spoke about minutes ago, we can't do effective, wise, grounded processing, which includes grief work, the deeper trauma work, decision making, when our nervous system is on fire or shut down.
Right.
So, having that guidance, someone that knows the roadmap and understands what's happening to your nervous system, is so key,
Mhm.
so that people can be first nurturing and caring of themselves, but also using your word strategic too. And I don't mean that to sound so calculating, but when someone's in a relationship with someone that's deceptive or
Yes.
narcissistic, this is a whole other layer to this that really takes careful thought and guidance, because there are things that will be used against her often, in court, for instance, the screenshots of texts that are like
Mhm.
reaming him out, shaming him, name calling. So, someone with specialized skills to say, look, you matter, you're valuable, you deserve care and care and healing is possible. But there's an order of operations here. We're not going to be able to get to those big decisions until your nervous system is stabilized. And just that's one of the things I find people most relieved to hear. Oh, there's a roadmap. Like
Right.
there's a sequence. And just even knowing that is so key. One thing, though, that I do run into a lot is people will underestimate the length of the healing process.
Yes. Yes.
Typically, and there's lots of individual outliers and exceptions, I realize. Typically, I see this as a 2 to 5 year process.
Right.
I hope that that sounds validating to the depth of this pain for those that are listening, that this isn't going to be a handful of sessions or just a few months. When you're dealing with primal distress and your whole world has been thrown for a loop, there's a lot of layers to this.
Mhm.
So it is a process, but it's a doable process, and it's not equally intense the whole time.
Right.
Someone's often not seeing a therapist regularly that entire time, but they may be doing things like 12 step or
Right.
meeting with the doctor occasionally, and things like that. There's a lot that can go into that. But I think I most want listeners to know healing is possible. And in fact, there's research showing that in in the majority of cases, that people will grow and be more resilient after a
Mhm.
trauma. Um, I think that's a very hopeful message.
Yeah,
That
I
doesn't
agree.
mean we're grateful for the trauma. That doesn't mean we wish that on people. But as a hopeful message, this is something people can overcome and often be wiser and stronger in the end with the right guidance and help.
Right, and I think the more people see on social media. I love your social media posts. I often share them because I feel like
Thank
they're
you.
so good. And I run a support group called Strong Savvy Women, which is a free Facebook group. I think the more you surround yourself with other women's stories, for example, you say, all right, they've gotten through this, right? Like I have women in my group who are 10 years out from the trauma, giving advice a little bit and cheering on those who are thinking of leaving. So thank you for that. I just want to move on to a segment we have here on Girl Wake Up called Truth or Trap.